Well, yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Jeff?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean? What I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talking. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, one time in my career, I won a Bomber of Month tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miscast, Technique, Ray Patterson. Salute to everyone and welcome to another episode of Cast Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, the life and career of Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara has the family today. It's Friday, back at the end of another big week of boxing history. I know I was saying Jamel Charlo all week, but I found a nice piece on Erislandy Lara. Still an active boxer for the first Friday of the month. Just found something to go into detail about his defections. He actually tried to defect twice. He was caught the first time and sent back to Cuba and kicked off of the amateur boxing program. We're going to get into it. Him and Guillermo Rigondeaux tried to defect together. But then the second time he was successful. He went to Mexico, ended up in Germany, and then eventually got with Golden Boy, lived in Miami, Florida, and the rest is history. Erislandy Lara. But we got a lot to get to today. So let's get on into our fight of the day right now. Okay, we got 3 fights. 3 of the top fights for Fighter of the Year for what was it, 2020, I believe. Excuse me for one second. And we're gonna get into the fight of the day. Erislandy, Lara'S today. How's everybody today though? It's Friday, first weekend of the new year. Okay. Hope everybody's having a great day. Looking forward to a good weekend. Good first weekend of the year. We're right up on it. And we're going to have our fight of the day in moments. We got 3 of them. It's going to be the fight of the year for I think it was 2020, and then 2 runner-ups. That was a close second and third, right? But let's get ready to get into it. Today's year, it was 2020. I had to make sure. I was running a little late today. Okay, but now without further ado, we have today's fight of the day. Okay, we're going to briefly take a look at 3 fights. The fight of the year for that year and 2 runner-ups. So the first one is Teofimo Lopez versus Vasyl Lomachenko, which was October 17th, 2020. This is the first one. Let's take a look at this one. Teofimo Lopez, Vasyl Lomachenko. Now, Teofimo Lopez Jr., 16-0 at that point, 12 knockouts, and Vasyl Lomachenko was 14 and 2, 10 knockouts. Teofimo won a 12-round unanimous decision, 116, 112, 119, 109, and 117, 111 to obtain the WBO, WBA, WBC franchise and the Ring Magazine and the vacant lineal lightweight title. Okay? He already held the IBF belt from a second-round TKO over former world champion Richard Comey in 2019. Teofimo became the youngest 4-belt champion in boxing history at 23 years old and in just his 16th pro fight. Okay? Now, the WBC was the franchise, though he wasn't undisputed, but he did have 4 belts, that franchise that Mauricio created. And that was just his 16th fight. That made him 16-0. Okay? The Lomachenko fight. So, the unbeaten Teofimo Lopez dominated the first half of the fight as he outboxed and outlanded Lomachenko. Of course, he outlanded him because Lomachenko, he outthrew him too. Lomachenko didn't throw any punches. Teofimo displayed hard jabs and body shots that consistently landed. Surprisingly, Lomachenko was extremely reluctant to let his hands go in the early going, which caused him to land less than 10 punches per round for the first 7 rounds of the fight. Less than 10 punches per round for the first 7 rounds of the fight. Remember that one? That was crazy. Lomachenko finally picked up the offensive pace in the 8th round and won the next 4 rounds. However, it was too little, too late. Teofimo regained momentum in the 12th round as he appeared to hurt Lomachenko with a series of left hooks and body shots that forced Lomachenko back to the ropes. Teofimo outlanded Lomachenko in 8 of the 12 rounds because, again, Lomachenko wasn't throwing any punches. I don't know what the problem was. But Teofimo outlanded him in 8 of the 12 rounds. What made Teofimo's upset victory so impressive was that he beat the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world at that point so decisively. The former two-time Olympic gold medalist and three-time division title holder Lomachenko was unbeaten in the last 6 years. And during that stretch, he fought 13 elite fighters, none of whom gave him any real trouble until Teofimo. Teofimo's significant win catapulted his career overnight to become one of the best boxers in the sport at that point. Okay? And he was ranked the 5th best pound-for-pound fighter in the world by ESPN and 6th by the Ring magazines following that fight. Yeah, that did big things for Teofimo's career. That was the fighter of the year for 2020. Now let's talk about the 2 runner-ups for that year, fighter of the year. Okay, the first one was Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber. Okay. And, okay, bear with me for a minute, please. Yeah, this was a runner-up, the first runner-up. Teofimo Lomachenko was a fighter of the year 2020. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder won. Was the first runner-up. I got 2 runner-ups here we're going to cover. Okay? And this fight took place on the Gypsy King and the Bronze Bomber won. Okay? Okay. Oh, this is 2. February 22nd, 2020. Okay, 2. Wilder Fury 2. This was the one where Breland threw the towel in. February 22nd, 2020. Our second fight of the day today. Okay, let's get into this. In a battle between 2 of the best heavyweights in the world at that time, undefeated Tyson Fury was 30-0 with 1 draw, 21 knockouts, solidified his spot as arguably the best fighter in the division with a technical knockout victory over previously undefeated Deontay Wilder. So after the fight, he was 42-1 with 1 draw, 41 knockouts, and the draw came against Tyson in the first fight, Fury in the first fight. When Wilder's assistant trainer, Mark Breland, stopped the one-sided fight with 1 minute and 39 seconds in the 7th round. Fury captured the WBC and the Ring magazine belt and retained the lineal heavyweight championship title. He became the 3rd heavyweight, Muhammad Ali and Floyd Patterson, the other 2, to hold the Ring magazine belt twice. The first heavyweight to obtain the WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, and the Ring magazine title, and the first heavyweight to beat 2 world champions who had 10 or more title defenses. Vladimir Klitschko was the other one. Well, these are the 2 he beat with 10 or more titles. He was the first one to beat 2 heavyweights with 10 or more title defenses anywhere. Vladimir Klitschko had 18 title defenses, and Wilder had 10, okay? For the first time these 2 fighters met in December 2018, it was a controversial 12-round split decision draw. The many boxing experts and fans believed that Fury had won. Okay, a lot of people thought Fury had won that first one. Okay, so that's why we went to the second one. BBO of Cleveland, Ohio, from the Sports Talk Network. What's up, BBO? Just going on, we had 3 fights the other day. We had the 2020 Fight of the Year, Teofimo Lopez, Vasil Lomachenko, and 2 runner-ups. The first runner-up was Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Okay? Now, Fury dominated the fight. This is 2. Fury Wilder 2. Fury dominated the fight from the opening bell as he immediately attacked Wilder with power shots and hard jabs. Wilder struggled to get into any type of offensive rhythm from being under Fury's constant smothering offensive attack. Fury knocked Wilder down in the third round from a left hook and overhand right to the head, which caused Wilder to be on shaky legs and busted his left eardrum that bled heavily for the rest of the fight. Fury scored a second knockdown in the fifth round from a hard left body shot, and Wilder began to bleed from his mouth. Wilder also had a swollen jaw by the end of the fight. Before the fight, Wilder had never been knocked down and had only gone the full 12 rounds twice in his career. One of them was with Fury. Fury was ahead on all three judges' scorecards, 59-52, 58-53, and 59-52 at the time of the stoppage, and had won every round except the second on Judge Clint Felsman's scorecard. Fury had a point deducted in the fifth round for hitting Wilder when referee Kenny Bayless called for a break. Okay? So the third fight of the day today, the second runner-up for Fight of the Year 2020 was Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. Okay? Technique. What's up, Technique? Salute. See, I got the ESPN. I already had Technique written down on the list. Even said Technique when I started, and there it is. Yep. Yeah. 3 of the top fights from 2020 Technique. The Fight of the Year was Teofimo and Lomachenko. Then we had Fury Wilder 2. And then the third one was Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. Fury Wilder 2 and Davis Santa Cruz were runner-ups that year, remember? Yeah, then we're going to talk about Erislandy Lara. I was saying Jamel all week, but I found a nice piece on Lara, and goes into, he tried to defect twice. He was caught the first time, and they kicked him out of that Cuban amateur boxing. He was an amateur. They kicked him out of the program because he was caught in Brazil trying to defect. They sent him back to Cuba, put him out of the program. But him and Guillermo Rigondeaux tried to leave together. But then the second time, Lara was successful. He went to Mexico, and then he ended up in Germany. And then eventually he made it to Miami, Florida, and got an Oscar. And the rest is history. Okay, but Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz, this fight took place on October 31st, 2020. I should have knew that. I remember that. Halloween, remember? October 31st, 2020. Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. Our third fight of the day today. Then we're going to get into Lara. Erislandy Lara. Nice thing on Lara. Okay. Undefeated super featherweight knockout artist Gervonta Davis. At that point in time, he was 24-0 with 23 knockouts. Scored a potential knockout of the year over Leo Santa Cruz, who was 37-2 with 1 draw, 19 knockouts at that time. The knockout came at 2 minutes and 40 seconds of the sixth round. The four-time world champion in 2 divisions landed a powerful left uppercut that had Santa Cruz knocked out cold on the canvas for a couple of minutes, after which he slowly got up. Davis had knocked out 15 consecutive opponents coming into that fight, and he had a 96 knockout percentage ratio, 96% knockout percentage, which is the best of any boxing title holder at that point. Now, Santa Cruz was the 4-division world champion. He had never been legitimately knocked down in his previously 39 fights coming into the Davis fight. Davis won the WBA World Super Featherweight and retained the WBA World Lightweight Championship. Remember, the featherweight and lightweight titles were on the line in that fight. Hank's lightweight title and Leo's both WBA's super featherweight was on the line in that fight. Davis was ahead 48-47 on all 3 judges' scorecards at the time of the stop. Close fight. Leo was doing very well, 48-47. Tank had a 1-point lead. Now, Santa Cruz won the first 2 rounds, and Davis won the next 3. Davis in the 6th round, and it was only a 1-point advantage for Tank at that point. Yeah, there you have it, our 3 fights of the day today. Teofimo Lopez, Vasily Lomachenko was Fight of the Year for 2020, and 2 runner-ups. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 2, and Devontae Davis and Leo Santa Cruz, 3, 2, 1. They only fought once. Right? Devontae Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. Okay. So now we're going to talk about Erislandy Lara. And man, we got a lot. This is a long one. I hope I get it all. I'm going to make sure we get it all in, but this is a good one here. Lara. Yeah, was saying Jamel all week, but then I came across this and I said, wow. And first Friday active boxer, still an active boxer. I think Lara is about 42 or something like that. Yeah, he is 42. Born in 83, April 10th, 1983. Yeah, Lara is 42. What's up, Thomas Hill in the building? And Tim Layton. What's up, Tim? Salute. Good to see you. Tim Layton. Always good to see Tim. And T Hill in the building. The legendary Thomas Hill. Okay. Erislandy Lara today. First Friday of the month. Active fighter. Yep. Erislandy. There he is. Styling and profiling between the two women. Erislandy is styling and profiling. Remember the wrestler Ric Flair used to say that? To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Y'all remember the Nature Boy? Styling and profiling. Mm-hmm. Nature Boy was my favorite wrestler. Okay, let's get into it. The life and career of Erislandy Lara. Okay. Yeah, I used to love wrestling. Mm-hmm. Used to go down to the Baltimore Arena and see him live when they came to town too. Mm-hmm. So it is. I remember one time I bought a ticket from this guy outside with scalping, man, and shoot. That seat was so bad I could damn near reach up and touch the roof of the place. I was like, damn, I ain't never buying no ticket for no scalper. But wrestling was that popular. They would be outside scalping tickets and everything, man. This was in the 80s, early 1980s. Mm-hmm. Nature Boy was going strong then. Mm-hmm. Wahoo McDaniels, Rufus Jones, Paul Jones, Black Jack Mulligan. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Road Warriors were that popular. Oh, there we had the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, the Anderson brothers, On and Ole, and then Gene came in. Now, if wrestling was really real, them would be the world champions, the Anderson brothers. Them were some tough customers, Gene and Ole. But let's get into the box. I'm sorry, I got carried away. How did I get into wrestling anyway? I forgot. Okay. The life and career of Erislandy Lara. Mike Rim. Salute, Mike. How are you today? Oh, Tim is a wrestling historian. Okay. Well, Tim was having flashbacks when I was mentioning them names. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was about the best period right there, Tim. Around late 70s, early 80s. Black Jack Mulligan, Keith Wahoo McDaniel. Yeah, Tim, we got to talk. Yeah, but salute. Mike Rim in the building now. But let's get back to boxing. Yeah, I used to love wrestling though, Tim. Go see him live. Okay, the life and career of Erislandy Lara now. For real. We're going to start. Okay. Now, Erislandy Lara, he was born April 10th, 1983. Currently active, 42 years old. And he's known as the American Dream. He's a Cuban-American pro boxer who has competed as a southpaw in the super welterweight and middleweight divisions. Currently, he's 31 wins and 3 losses, 3 draws. He has 19 knockouts. He was born in Guantanamo, Cuba. And he excelled in amateur boxing, came out of the Cuban boxing system, very decorated amateur. But he actually got kicked out of it when he got caught trying to defect. We're going to get to that. Him and Guillermo Rigondeaux, they were at the Pan American Games in Brazil a year before the 2000 Olympics and got caught. And Brazil sent him back. And Fidel kicked them out of the program, man. But both did end up getting out of there. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah, The Undertaker. Oh, yeah. That was the man. The Undertaker. Yeah. He had a brother that was in there too. Kane. Remember Kane? That was his real brother, biological brother. Yeah, Kane. Yep. Okay. So Lara. Yeah, he was he competed at junior middleweight and middleweight so far because he's still active, right? And a very decorated amateur. And he captained the national team, actually. And he got a gold medal at the 2005 World Amateur Championships in the welterweight division after winning multiple Cuban national titles. Now, in 2007, we're going to go into this a little bit more deeper later. We just briefly summarizing his career right now. In 2007, he attempted to defect during the Pan American Games in Brazil, along with fellow boxer Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now, he succeeded in 2008 by fleeing to Germany, where he debuted professionally before relocating to the United States in 2009 and gaining U.S. citizenship in 2017. We're going to get to that first defection. He was caught. Okay. Now, Lara'S pro career highlights include capturing the WBA super welterweight title, unifying it with the IBF belt, and later winning the WBA middleweight championship. With his technical skill and resilience, I think he's currently the WBA middleweight, right? And his career forged through the perils of defection, earning him recognition as one of boxing's most accomplished technicians, despite occasional controversial decisions in high-profile fights. Yeah, Paul Williams and Canelo fights. Looked like he won both of those, but he didn't get the nod in either one of them. Yep. But the Paul Williams fight put him on the map because he was young and unknown, and then Paul Williams was an established veteran fighter, and Lara went in there and did actually beat him, I thought, but yeah, that put him on the map. He lost the fight, but that's when he became known. We're gonna cover that too. But now let's look at his early life and amateur career. Very decorated amateur. Erislandy Lara was. Early life and amateur career. There's a shot of him fighting somebody in the amateurs. Who were they again? Which ones, T Hill? The Road Warriors? Hawk and Animal? Oh, the Heart Foundation, yeah. They was fire. The Hitman Hart and the other guy, I forgot the Legion of Doom. Yeah, the Hart Foundation was going strong back around that time too. And those two little guys, they was real acrobatic. This is the last thing I'm gonna say about Raptor. I forget their names. They was small, but they used to be in there doing flips, all kinds of stuff. They had a rivalry with the Hart Foundation. That's who they always battled with. They were the good guys. The Hart Foundation was always on the bad side. But these two guys used to battle the Hart Foundation. They was real small. They didn't even look like wrestlers. They were real acrobatic, both of them. I know Tim know who I'm talking about. I can't think of the name. Yeah, it is the Rockers. I think that's them, Tim. Yeah. One of them, I can't think of their names, but yeah, that's them. Real acrobatic. Doing flips and all kinds of stuff all over the ring. Stepping off the top rope, nailing somebody in the head with a kick on the floor. Yeah, that's them. Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. Yep, that's them, Tim. I figured Tim would know. That's exactly who I'm talking about. Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. Yep. Okay. So Lara'S early life and amateur career. Yeah, that's exactly who I was talking about, Tim. Early life and amateur career, especially Shawn Michaels. He went on to make a big name. And Shawn might still be in the game. Okay. Defection and adaptation to the United States for Lara. Wait a minute. Early life and amateur career first. Let me pay attention to what I'm doing. I got mixed up in that wrestling. Okay, childhood in Cuba and entry into boxing. That's where we at. Now, Erislandy Lara was born on April 11th, 1983 in Guantanamo, Cuba, a city in the eastern part of the island known for its socioeconomic hardships and proximity to the United States Naval Base at Guantanamo Bay. He grew up in one of the city's poorest neighborhoods, where substandard housing and limited resources characterized daily life for the residents. Now, Lara'S family background included an absent father and a mother, Lara'S, who struggled with alcoholism and substance abuse, contributing to an unstable home environment during his formative years. Father wasn't there, and his mother was problems with alcoholism and substance abuse. So yeah, wow, that's a rough childhood. Initially joined the baseball, which is a dominant sport in Cuba. Lara'S showed early talent in the sport in boxing. And he showed early talent in baseball before he transitioned to boxing around age 12. Okay. Then in a 2009 interview, he recalled, "I was 12 years old when I first put on boxing gloves. I was a good baseball player." He said he was a very good baseball player. But this shift aligned with Cuba's state-supported sports system, which identifies and develops athletic prospects from a very young age, funneling promising youth into disciplines like boxing, where the nation excels internationally. Now, Lara'S' entry into the sport capitalized on its physical attributes and the rigorous training infrastructure available in Cuban provinces, marking the beginning of his emergence in amateur boxing circuit. Okay, now national dominance and international medals. He was a very decorated amateur boxer. Yes, he was. Okay, national dominance and international medals for Erislandy Lara. They call him the Cuban Hawk or something like that. Is that Lara? I know one of his names was the American Dream, but the way he made it out, and everything. Took him 2 times, but he did it. Him and Rigondeaux, like I said, got caught and got sent back. And they kicked him out of the Cuban boxing amateur system too. But he made it. National dominance and international medals. Okay. Now Lara demonstrated early promise in Cuban amateur boxing, capturing the National Junior Featherweight Championship in 2000. And by 2003, competing at welterweight, he earned 3rd place at the Cuban National Championships after a loss to Lorenzo Aragon. Okay? His ascent peaked with 3 consecutive welterweight national titles from 2005 to 2007, solidifying his status as a premier talent within Cuba's rigorous amateur system. These victories underscored his technical prowess and consistency against top domestic competition, where Cuban boxers undergo intense state-sponsored training. Winning a national title in Cuba is almost as prestigious as winning an international title, because amateurs, Cuba got about the best, as far as amateur boxing. Internationally, Lara'S' achievements elevated him to elite status, including a gold medal in the welterweight division at the 2005 Amateur International Boxing Association World Amateur Boxing Championships in China, where he defeated competitors from Belarus and Kazakhstan in the finals. Okay? Won the gold medal in that one. These triumphs marked him as world champion and positioned him as a favorite for the 2008 Olympics, though his career trajectory shifted due to defection. He didn't make it to those Olympics because of what happened. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, the attempted defection altered his career trajectory. Okay. He also served as captain of Cuba's national amateur team, reflecting his leadership amid additional successes in various international tournaments. He was the captain, of that great Cuban team around 2007, 2008. Now, Lara'S amateur record, though not exhaustively documented in public sources, highlights a pattern of medal contention that aligned with Cuba's tradition of producing world-class boxers through disciplined, volume-based preparation. Okay, now, defections and adaptation to the United States. Okay, defections and adaptation to the United States. All right, there's Kid Manila. What's up, Kid Manila? Salute. Subscribe, like and subscribe, please. Yeah, Sports, the Box Story, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Bringing you all that boxing history. Salute, Kid Manila. Okay, now, Rigondeaux. To defection and adaptation to the United States. Let's talk about that. Failed attempts and Cuban government response to that failed attempt. In July 2007, during the Pan American Games in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Lara attempted to defect alongside fellow Cuban boxer Guillermo Rigondeaux. Both world amateur champions. Both were very decorated amateurs, him and Rigondeaux. Now, the pair sought to escape Cuba's restrictions on professional boxing and personal freedoms, but Brazilian police detained them approximately 108 kilometers from Rio after they went missing from the athletic village, where the athletes stay at. Some kind of way they found out that Lara and Rigondeaux were missing, and they caught up with them. So the Brazilian authorities deported Lara and Rigondeaux back to Cuba on August 3rd, 2007, following diplomatic pressure from the Cuban government. Upon their return to Cuba, Cuban sports officials expelled Lara from the national team and imposed an indefinite ban on his participation in boxing, effectively ending his amateur career and eliminating his prospects for the 2008 Beijing Olympics. I don't know what happened to Rigondeaux, but Lara got kicked off the team, and that ended his chances for the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Didn't have a country. They wouldn't let him leave Cuba, and they wouldn't let him box anymore. The Cuban government's response reflected a broader policy of stringent controls to curb athletic defections, including threats to withdraw from international competitions like the October 2007 World Boxing Championships in Chicago to minimize risks, right? So Castro said, I'm going to even stop sending y'all to international competitions. If you're not in Cuba, you're not even going to be allowed to go compete because of the risk of defection. Now, Fidel Castro publicly criticized the defections, accusing the boxers of betrayal and emphasizing state loyalty over individual ambitions. Fidel wanted state loyalty over boxers' chance to turn pro and make millions of dollars. He wanted you to just stay down there and be an amateur forever, like the heavyweight guy did. Teofilo Stevenson and the other one, Felix Savon. They both 3-time gold medals in the amateur. They was in their 30s fighting teenagers and stuff, but it wasn't their fault. They didn't want to leave their home country, right? So, it's like a no-win situation. So Fidel wanted state loyalty over individual ambitions, which underscored the regime's use of sports as a tool for national propaganda while punishing deserters to deter others. And this ban on Lara from competing left him in limbo in Cuba, motivating his subsequent successful defection in 2008. He was successful the next year. Because what was he supposed to do then? He couldn't box in Cuba anymore. So let's talk about that. The next year he was successful, 2008. Okay, they didn't catch him this time. Okay. Hank Armstrong. He did fight Seferino Garcia twice. Okay, appreciate you. But we got another historian in here, Kid Manila. Salute, Kid Manila. Now let's talk about Lara'S successful defect, an initial pro transition. initial transition to the professional ranks. In early 2008, and they didn't say anything about Rigondeaux, but Rigondeaux did eventually get out too. But in early 2008, Lara executed his second defection attempt from Cuba, joining a group of defectors who traversed the shark-infested Yucatan Channel to Mexico aboard a crowded 30-foot speedboat during inclement weather, facing risks of capsizing and interception. Then upon reaching Mexico, he evaded Cuban authorities and eventually traveled onward to Hamburg, Germany, where he connected with promoters offering a pathway to professional boxing, free from state-controlled amateur constraints. Okay, so he made it. So less than 2 months after reaching Germany, Lara debuted as a professional boxer on July 4th, 2008 in Hamburg, Germany, securing a unanimous decision victory over Ivan Maslow in a 4-round fight, demonstrating his technical precision with effective counterpunching and footwork honed from Cuban amateur training. The Cuban amateur training did pay off, though. Now, this rapid transition underscored his determination to capitalize on defection opportunities as he signed with German promoter Ahmet Oner, who facilitated early matchmaking against European opponents to build experience and visibility. And then, so he got to Cuba in Germany, 2008. By 2009, Lara had relocated to the United States, to Miami, Florida, and he signed with American promoters like Golden Boy Promotion to access larger audiences and larger purses, while adapting to the professional system's emphasis on endurance and strategic fights over amateur volume. Now, his United States integration included a televised ESPN debut on January 1st, 2009, where he achieved the first round technical knockout against Rodrigo Aguilar, signaling successful acclamation through knockout power and ring generalship that propelled him toward contention. So this phase involved overcoming logistical hurdles such as visa issues and language barriers, yet yielded an undefeated streak in initial fights, laying the foundation for title pursuits. So let's go on to his professional career now. So he had one failed defection, got kicked out of the Cuban amateur system, but he persevered. And on the second defection, he was successful, made it to Germany, and turned pro, eventually made it to Miami, Florida. So now he's at his pro career. Erislandy Lara, the American Dream. Cuban Hawk, that's Rigondeaux, right? The Cuban Hawk. I know it's one of them. Yeah, Rigondeaux is the Cuban Hawk. So professional career for Lara. Now he went through something to get here, but he finally made it. Debut and early build-up, 2008 to 2011. So again, he made his pro debut in July 2008, defeating Ivan Maslow by second round knockout in Hamburg. Well, this fight was actually he was residing in Hamburg, Germany, but his debut actually took place in Ankara, Turkey. And this fight marks his transition from Cuban amateur stardom to the paid ranks, following his defection earlier that year, with initial fights held overseas under promoters including Ahmet Oner of Arena Box Promotion. So in the ensuing months, Lara'S secured victories in 6-round decisions against opponents such as Denis Alexeyev, September 8th, 2008. This one was in Germany. Rodrigo Aguilar, January 2009 in Nevada. Keith Gross, February 9th, 2009 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because remember he had made it to the United States by 2009 and signed with Oscar. Chris Gray and Edwin Vasquez, also in 2009 in Las Vegas. And these early wins, primarily by unanimous decision, demonstrated Lara'S technical proficiency and ring generalship inherited from the Cuban boxing system. So against modest opposition, typical for a fighter making it in his early career, building visibility in the United States market, okay? So by mid-2009, Lara had stepped up to 10-round fights, and he defeated Darnell Boone by decision on July 9th, 2009 in Las Vegas. Jose Varela on September 9th, 2009, also in Vegas, and Luciano Perez in December 2009 in Chicago, okay? So his record stood at 9-0 entering 2010, with fights shifting predominantly to the United States now, venues like Las Vegas and Denver, where he added stoppage wins to his record because he was getting mostly decisions. He started getting a few stoppages, including the second round stoppage of William Correa on July 10th, 2010, and a third round knockout of Willie Lee on August 10th, 2010. Then he had decisions over Grady Brewer, Danny Perez, and Tim Connors in 10-round affairs. Further solidified his unbeaten streak. Now he's 14-0 by late 2010. He had like 5 fights that year, 14-0, okay? As he honed his counterpunching style against increasingly durable journeymen, stepping up a little bit, okay? So entering 2011, Lara achieved a first-round knockout over Delray Reigns on January 11th at Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, extending his knockout tally. However, on March 11th, he fought to a 10-round split draw against Carlos Molina at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, right? That was a competitive fight that tested his endurance, but maintained his undefeated status. Now he's 15-0 with that one draw. And the period culminated in a high-profile 12-round welterweight matchup on July 16, 2011 against former contender Paul Williams at the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey, where Lara dropped a unanimous decision, 115, 116, 112, 115, 113 twice, marking his first pro defeat and exposing limitations in output against aggressive volume punches. Though it elevated his profile by sharing the ring with an established veteran like Paul Williams, okay? Now, through 2011, Lara'S activity, 17 fights in 4 years, reflected deliberate matchmaking to build experience and market presence, transitioning from preliminary cards to main event consideration, okay? Okay, so now he gets to fight against Tommy Hearn's son. Okay, I couldn't find a picture of Tommy Hearn's son, but yeah, Lara fought him, Ronald Hearns. Yeah, Tommy Hearns had a son that fought. Contention phase and key victories, 2012 to 2013. In 2012, following a controversial majority decision loss, following that loss to Paul Williams, Lara rebounded decisively against Ronald Hearns in the WBC Super Welterweight semifinal eliminator on April 20th at the Beau Rivage Resort and Casino in Biloxi, Mississippi. Now, Lara dropped Hearns 3 times with precise left hands and body shots, prompting a first-round technical knockout at 1 minute 34 the round. And the win improved Lara's record to 16-1 with 1 draw with 11 knockouts, and showcased his Cuban-trained counterpunching as Hearns, son of Thomas Hearns, absorbed 200 fewer punches, but landed none effectively after the early onslaught, okay? So then, after the Hearns fight, he had a win over Freddie Hernandez on June 9th, 2012, at the Chumash Casino Resort in Santa Ynez, California, outboxing the durable veteran over 10 rounds with scores of 100-90 across all 3 cards, a shutout. Now, Hernandez pressed forward aggressively, but Lara's superior footwork and jab control limited exchanges, landing 42% of his power shots for CompuBox data. That's not bad, 42%. This fight aired on Showtime's Showbox series, and it elevated Lara'S' profile amid matchmaking challenges stemming from his technical style and prior setback. Yeah, he didn't have a very entertaining style, that Cuban technical style. So, well, let's see. A pivotal clash came on November 10th, 2012. Okay. Against undefeated Baines Mataraja in a WBC super welterweight title eliminator at the Wynn Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, the fight ended in a technical draw after Mataraja suffered a severe cut from an accidental clash of heads at 26 seconds of the 9th round. Okay. Halting proceedings with Lara ahead 78-74, 77-75 on 2 cards, and trailing 77-75 on the 3rd card. Now, Lara dominated early with ring generalship and cleaner combinations, outlanding Mataraja 142-112 overall. Though the draw preserved both fighters' unbeaten streaks in contention and drew criticism for lacking sustained action. Okay. Entering 2013, Lara'S secured a hard-fought unanimous decision over Alfredo Angulo on June 8th at the Home Depot Center in Carson, California, absorbing heavy pressure across 10 rounds to win 96-94 on all 3 cards. Angulo's relentless volume, over 700 punches thrown, tested Lara'S' defense, but Lara'S' accuracy, landing 38% of his punches, and late round counters neutralized the Mexicans' advances in a war that boosted Lara'S' reputation for resilience. Okay? Okay. Yeah, right on. That's him and Austin Trout right there. Go down some. Okay, let's continue. Now, Lara capped this period with a unanimous decision win over former WBA super welterweight champion Austin Trout on December 7th, 2013 at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, sweeping the 12 rounds 120-108, 117-111, and 119-109, winning widely. Trout's southpaw mobility posed stylistic issues, but Lara'S' superior power and ring cutting led to a 189-128 edge in connects, positioning him as a mandatory challenger for Canelo Alvarez's titles. These results, yielding a 3-0-1 ledger in high-stakes fights, solidified Lara'S' contention status, despite occasional perceptions of his elusive approach limiting fan appeal. But he had 4 fights. At that point, he had 4 fights against big-name fighters like Trout and Paul Williams, right, and a couple of other ones. And he was 3-0 with 1 draw in him. Okay, so yeah, he was starting to get noticed. But again, fans didn't like that kind of technical style he had. It wasn't exactly appealing to the fans. But hey, can't please everybody. So after the Trout fight, that's when he went up against. Because remember, he became the mandatory for Canelo. Went into that fight with Canelo and lost it. But we're gonna get to Canelo later. But let's move on past Canelo to his next fight after that, which was one we talked about, and it was Angulo. Okay, after the Canelo fight. Let's go a little bit deeper into the Angulo fight now. Stay with me for a second, though. Now, he did capture the vacant WBA interim super welterweight title on June 8, 2013, when he defeated Alfredo Angulo by technical knockout in the 10th round at the Home Depot Center in Carson, California. He was knocked down twice in the early rounds, but rallied with precise counterpunching and superior footwork, overwhelming Angulo until the Mexican's corner stopped the fight at 150 of the round. This victory marked Lara'S' first world championship at 154 pounds, showcasing his resilience and technical prowess, rooted in the Cuban boxing traditions. Okay. Okay. So he made his first successful defense against Delvin Rodriguez. He made his first successful defense against Delvin Rodriguez on June 12, 2015, securing a unanimous decision. 120-108 across all cards of shutout. This was at the UFC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. He dominated with superior ring generalship and counterpunching, landing 62% of his power shot, 62%, while Rodriguez showed durability but lacked offensive threat. Okay? Got out of order. Okay. His next defense, he stopped John Zavik by a third round technical knockout on November 25th, 2015 in Hialeah, Florida. Ending the fight with a barrage of punches that prompted the referee's intervention. Then he had another fight against Marlon Roger, okay? This was on May 21st, 2016 at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, Nevada, where Lara prevailed by unanimous decision. His elusive defense and timely counters neutralized Marlon Roger's aggression, maintaining control despite occasional pressure exchanges. These wins solidified Lara'S' grip on the division during the early phase of his extended reign. Okay, so let's talk about this high-profile fight he had with Canelo now. Okay, get to the Canelo fight. The high-profile fight against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, we went back because those other fights were after Canelo, but I wanted to save Canelo. Okay. Now, on July 12th, 2014, Erislandy Lara'S defended his WBA super welterweight title against Canelo Alvarez at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, in a fight billed as Honor and Glory. Now, the matchup pitted Lara'S' technical boxing prowess against Canelo's power and aggression, drawing significant attention as Canelo sought redemption following his unanimous decision loss to Floyd Mayweather Jr. 8 months earlier. Now, Lara, entering with a record of 19 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, and 12 knockouts, expressed confidence in schooling the younger Canelo, who was age 23 at the time. And Canelo was 43 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 30 knockouts. And Lara said he was going to school Canelo by leveraging his movement and counterpunch ability. Okay? And he did that, if you ask me. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like Grim says, that Angulo fight was a masterclass fight, but it was a scary fight. Okay, yeah, Angulo. Yeah, he did. And they gave it to Paul Williams, Mike. Yeah. Yep. That would have been a huge win because Paul Williams was an established veteran. Lara was young then. If he could have got that nod in that one, wow. But yeah, they gave it to Paul. But I thought Lara won that one too, Mike. Now the Canelo. The 12-round fight saw Lara employing his significant Cuban-style elusiveness, circling the ring and landing sharper, cleaner punches while avoiding sustained exchanges with Canelo. Okay? Now Canelo pressed forward relentlessly, attempting to cut off the ring and land heavier shots, though he struggled to connect consistently against Lara's footwork. CompuBox statistics reflected Lara's edge in total punches, landed 179 to 145, 34 more, including jabs. Lara had 95 to 28 in jabs on Canelo, but Canelo held advantages in power punches, attempted, and body work. Okay. Now the fight's closeness fueled debate, with Lara dominating early rounds through precision and Canelo gaining momentum later by volume and pressure. Okay. So the judges, that's what counts. Let's see what the judges said about this thing. We know it wasn't right, but let's see. The drunk Irishman, all the way from Ireland, in the building. Salute, drunk Irishman. We talking about Erislandy Lara today. I know I said Jamel all week, but I thought this was pretty interesting, especially the part about the two defections. He was unsuccessful the first time, but then the second time he made it. And they sent him back to Cuba and kicked him out of the Cuban boxing program, man. Yeah, he couldn't box, so he had no choice but to defect then. You know, he couldn't do his sport. Wow. And he got out of there. Through Mexico to Germany to Miami, Florida, where he ended up at. Okay? I think that's where he resides now, right? Florida. But anyway, Judge Levi Martinez and Dave Moretti scored the fight 115-113 for Canelo, and Jerry Roth had it 115-113 for Lara, awarding Canelo a split decision win and the WBA title. Every time they rob somebody, they give it to Canelo. It seems like it's always 115-113. Remember Bivol? All three judges had it 115-113. You know, damn, well, that was like 118-110, that Bivol fight. But scores were too close too, I thought, you know. But hey, at least they got it right. But they didn't get it right in the Lara one. Yeah, Mike, once again, Lara punished Canelo. Look how he looked after the fight and after the Crawford fight. Yup. But you know, got to factor in the Canelo effect because it is a thing, right? You might not like it, but it is a thing, the Canelo effect. Look at Floyd. Floyd dogged him and the lady still gave it to Canelo. Remember that? That was ridiculous. But yeah, one judge gave it to Lara. Oh, it was all three of them was 115-113. 2 for Canelo, 2 for Lara. And the outcome sparked widespread controversy, with multiple media outlets and analysts scoring the fight for Lara based on effective punching and ring generalship over Canelo's aggression, which some deemed rewarded excessively under subjective judging criteria. Yeah, aggression don't mean nothing if it's not effective. You know what I mean? You can just be aggressive all night, but if it's not effective aggression, you don't get nothing for it. Are you being aggressive and still getting counted and all that? That ain't effective. You got to be aggressive, not getting counted, scoring your own shots and having tight defense and stuff, doing that aggression. But Canelo was the aggressive, but Lara was piecing him up, right? While he was being aggressive. So that's not effective aggression. But, you know, those two judges still favored him because of that. And Lara protested the decision post-fight, claiming he had clearly outboxed Canelo and called for a rematch. That never happened, as Canelo vacated the belt to campaign at middleweight. You know that. Canelo wouldn't give him no rematch after that. Hell no. This loss marked the end of Lara's initial WBA super welterweight reign after 4 successful defenses since capturing the title in December of 2013. Okay, so the challenges and title losses in super welterweight 2017 to 2020. Okay, yeah, lost to Canelo. So then he moved on from that. Is that Canelo again? That's it. What that's doing still on there. Okay, so Lara'S opened the year with a successful defense of his WBA super welterweight title against Yuri Foreman on January 13th, 2017. Yeah, he had after Canelo vacated, Lara'S did get the title back. Okay, so now he went up against Yuri Foreman. It's him and Yuri right there. Yeah, opened up the year against Yuri Foreman. Okay, at in Florida, securing a third-round technical knockout after Foreman suffered a severe cut above his left eye from repeated jabs. Okay, cut him above the left eye. This marks his 5th defense since acquiring the belt, showcasing Lara'S' precision, counterpunching, and ring generalship against a durable opponent who had previously held the title himself. At that time, Foreman was aged 31. And he was 34-2 coming into the fight. He absorbed punishment to the midsection before the ringside position intervened, highlighting Lara'S' ability to break down resilient fighters through accumulated damage rather than seeking early knockouts. Now, following the Foreman fight, Lara'S faced inactivity issues, leading to the WBA stripping him of his title later in that year, 2017, due to the failure to meet mandatory defense obligations, a common challenge for champions balancing recovery, negotiations, and promotional demand. Okay? So he returned on October 14th, 2017 at the Barclays Center. He went up against Terrell Gausha, who was 20-0. Okay, there's him and Terrell. This is who he returned against. And Terrell was 20-0 at the Barclays Center, right? And he was this was for in the IBO belt. So after he got stripped, now he's fighting for the vacant WBA super welterweight crown, the belt that they stripped him from, plus the IBO belt. He got a unanimous decision win, 116, 112, 115, 113 twice after 12 rounds of technical boxing. Yeah, get him in Terrell. I think he still got he got the WBA back after they stripped. I think he still has it right now, as a matter of fact. Now, Gausha, a 2012 Olympian, pressed forward aggressively, landing heavier shots in spurts, but Lara'S' superior footwork, jab control, and counter hooks neutralized the pressure, connecting on 38% of his power punches per compromise. And this win reinstated Lara'S as the champion, but underscored ongoing challenges in maintaining consistent activity amid promotional hurdles and matchmaking issues. Okay? So his reign faced its sternest test on April 7th, 2018 at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he met IBF super welterweight champion Jared Hurd, 21-0, 15 knockouts in a unification fight for the WBA and IBF titles. Hurd had the IBF and Lara'S had the WBA unification. They said this is the stiffest tough yet. Now Hurd, a 6-foot switch hitter with relentless pressure, overcame an early deficit by rallying in the middle rounds and dropping Lara'S with a left hook in the 12th round, securing a split decision, 114-113, 115-112 for Hurd, and 114-113 for Lara'S. Now the fight, praised as a candidate for Fight of the Year by ESPN, for his back and forth action and combined 1,200 plus punches thrown between the two fighters. And it's exposed vulnerabilities in Lara'S' defensive style against high volume aggressors like Hurd, as Hurd outlanded Lara 189 and 162 in total punches. Despite Lara'S' higher accuracy, Lara landed at 38% rate, Hurd had 28%. Okay, Hurd threw more and landed more. Lara was just more accurate. Independent scoring varied, with CBS Sports favoring Hurd 115-112. Okay, but the late knockdown proved decisive, marking Lara'S' first title loss since 2014 and halting his momentum at age 34. Okay. Okay, so then he fought Brian Castano. Whatever happened to Brian Castano after the after the Mel fight? They say that the exchange rate in Venezuela, Argentina, somewhere is off the chart. So once he got them two Mel paydays, he was like a gazillionaire down there where he's from. He ain't fought since. He took that money back down and came a triple quadrillionaire. And he hadn't seen Castano since, but he had this fight against Lara. Mike Massey. What's up, Mike Massey? In the building. Yeah, Canelo was getting punished every time he got aggressive, Mike. And he lost. I thought he lost that fight. But like I always say, the judges didn't, and that's what counts. I salute Mike Massey. Yeah, that Paul Williams fight and Canelo fight would have been huge fights for Lara. He would be looked at totally different now if the judges would have got them two fights right. There would be two huge wins on his resume. Because especially Paul Williams, because Lara was young and Paul Williams was an established veteran. He was talking about Paul Williams and Floyd. And Lara went in there and beat him, but didn't get credit for it. Yeah. Them judges don't know when they be corrupt and cheat like that, how much that can affect the fighter's career, and earning power. Just for them being corrupt. It affects the judges' earning power when they get that big fat envelope from Eddie Hearn and Oscar and Mauricio and people like that paying them off. So yeah. And they say, well, sorry, Lara, but those would have been two big wins. But post-Hurd, Lara challenged for the WBA Super Welterweight title again on March 2nd, 2019 against Brian Castano after he lost it to Hurd. Some kind of way Castano ended up with, right? Castano was 15-0 with one draw. This was back at the Barclays Center. And this fight ended up in a draw. 115-113 for Lara and 114-114 twice. So he didn't get the majority. The draw got the majority, so you got to get at least two judges. Amid debates over effective aggression versus technical dominance. There you go again. Castano was aggressive, but wasn't effective. And Lara dominated him technically, but the judges liked that aggression, but wasn't effective. I've never seen that fight. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Yeah, but it was a draw. Now, Castano's forward pressure edged some rounds, but Lara's cleaner combinations and ring cutting drew support from observers who scored it for the Cuban, per ringside reports. Now, the outcome preserved Castano's undefeated streak while highlighting Lara's resilience in contested decisions. But the WBA was vacant again. He then captured the vacant WBA Super Welterweight belt again on August 31st, 2019 at the Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He stopped Ramon Alvarez. You know who Ramon Alvarez is? That's Canelo's brother. He didn't beat Canelo, but he beat his brother. So I don't know. I guess that's something. You didn't give it to him against Canelo, but he got his brother. Okay. So yeah, Ramon Alvarez. He got the win against Canelo's brother in Minnesota. This was for the vacant belt again. He just destined to have a WBA belt at 154. And this was on This was a TKO after a left hook to the body followed by ground and pound punches, prompted the referee to stop the fight at 2 minutes and 3 seconds of the second round. Now, Alvarez, brother of Canelo, absorbed over 50% of Lara'S power shots in the brief exchange, affirming Lara'S knockout threat against overmatched foes, but not resolving broader contention issues about his power. Greg Vendetti was his next opponent. Greg Vendetti. Lara defended his regained title with a unanimous decision over Greg Vendetti on August 8th, 2020 at Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, California, outboxing Vendetti over 10 rounds, 99-91 on all 3 cards. Vendetti got all of 1 round. In a non-title fight that tested his recovery from prior wars. Now, Vendetti's early aggression faded against Lara'S' angles and counters, landing just 16% of his punches. Vendetti just landed 16% for the fight. But the fight drew criticism for Lara'S' conservative output amid pandemic-era constraints, signaling a strategic pivot toward middleweight opponents by late 2020. Okay, get ready to move up. So then, this period encapsulated Lara'S' challenges, unification ambitions thwarted by a razor-close loss, disputed draws, and regains against lesser opposition, compounded by age-related durability questions and promotional inactivity, ultimately prompted his move up in weight class. So the transition to middleweight and WBA title capture, 2021 to 2023. Okay, going on up to middleweight, Erislandy now is. Now, following a series of challenges and losses in the super welterweight division, including a controversial majority decision defeat to Brian Castano in the rematch in 2019, and a unanimous decision loss to Jermell Charlo in 2020, Lara opted to campaign at middleweight to pursue renewed contention. Now, this move up just 6 pounds allowed him to target the vacant WBA regular middleweight title, held open after the previous champion's promotion within the organization's tiered structure. Thomas LaManna is who he went up and challenged. There's him and Thomas. Thomas LaManna. On May 1st, 2021, Lara faced Thomas LaManna at the Shrine Exposition Hall in Los Angeles, California. In his middleweight debut, 38 years old at this time, he dropped LaManna with a precise left hand at 2:05 of the first round, prompting a knockout victory and securing the vacant WBA regular middleweight championship. Has he ever had any belt other than the WBA? He's had the WBA at junior middleweight about 100 times. Now he goes up to middleweight and gets the WBA at middleweight, right? So this was his second division title after prior success at 154. So 2 division champion. He's only fought in 2, right? Been a champion in both of them. So LaManna was 34-1 from Rochester, New York. He offered little resistance before the stoppage, highlighting Lara'S' retained power and technical edge, despite the weight increase. So his first defense, Gary Spike Owen. Gary Spike Owen. Okay? He made his first title defense on May 28, 2022 against Gary Spike O'Sullivan at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. After 7 rounds of controlling exchanges, Lara landed a devastating straight left in the 8th round at 23 seconds left, dropping O'Sullivan for the first time in his career and prompting referee Steve Willis to halt the fight by technical knockout. 23 seconds of the 8th round. Wow. And the Irish challenger, O'Sullivan, was 37 with a 28-4 record entering the fight. He absorbed significant punishment, but showed resilience until the finish, in which Lara landed 142 of 456 punches, compared to O'Sullivan 78 of 340. Wow. Okay. Won that one. So, in early 2023, following Triple G's relinquishment of the WBA's full middleweight title upon vacating the division, Lara'S was elevated from regular champion to the organization's primary title holder. So now he's the full, real middleweight champion. WBA champion at middleweight. And that consolidated his status without a further fight that year. Got elevated. Now, this upgrade reflected the WBA's internal rankings and Lara'S' active defenses, though it drew criticism from some observers for perpetuating the sanctioning body's fragmented championship system rather than mandating a high-profile unification. But he did win the interim, or the other one, I guess, the regular. So, they elevated him instead of, having a fight. But yeah, I would rather see a fight for it than just elevating somebody like that. Now, recent defenses and ongoing reign, 2024 to the present. Okay, 2024 to the present for Erislandy Lara'S. I think that's him and Danny Garcia. Yeah, I can tell by them. Danny always wear them shorts with stripes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's Danny. You can look at the shorts and tell it's Danny, right? Yeah. On March 30th, 2024, Lara'S defended his WBA middleweight title against, no, that's not Danny, unless I missed something. Well, against Michael Zarafa at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, securing a first-round knockout victory after dropping the Rafa multiple times with precise counterpunching. Now, Zarafa, an Australian contender, came in with a record of 31 wins, 4 losses, was unable to recover from the early onslaught, marking Lara'S' third consecutive stoppage win and extending his reign. So 3 fights at middleweight, 3 stoppages. Okay, so now, the next fight was Danny, but I think I got my pictures. I think that was Danny right there, too. Yeah, that was Danny. I didn't have a picture of Zarafa. I thought so. Yeah. Okay. So after Zarafa, Lara'S made his next defense on September 14th, 2024, against former 2-division world champion Danny Swift Garcia back at Barclays, dominating the fight en route to a 9th-round technical knockout when Garcia's corner threw in the towel. Well, Danny hadn't fought in 500 years or something, right? Now, Danny, who entered with a 37-3 record and prior wins over top welterweights, struggled against Lara'S' southpaw counters and footwork. Danny landed fewer than 20% of his punches, according to CompuBox stats. This victory, Lara'S' 4th straight knockout at middleweight, solidified his status as the division's longest reigning champion at age 41. And this is 4 fights at middleweight, 4 stoppages. Wow. As of October 2025, Lara'S continues to hold the WBA middleweight title, undisputed in his version of the division, with sources indicating a scheduled unification fight against IBF and WBO champion Janabek on December 6, 2025. No further defenses have occurred in 2025 to date, maintaining Lara'S' undefeated streak in title fights since 2021. Hold up for one moment. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go to take a look at his fighting style now. Erislandy Lara'S. But let me see. Hope everybody's enjoying the show today. It's Friday. I don't know what we're gonna be doing Monday. Something at 2 to 4. Something good. I'm trying to check. I had a little gap in there after the Danny fight up to now. I gotta see what happened. My bad. I should have did this before I started, but I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought I had brought it up to now, but the Danny was 2024, and that's the last thing I have. Man. No. See what happened. And maybe nothing, but let's see what happened between Danny and now. Okay. Because that's a whole year. It's now 2026. We got to see what he did in that time frame. Larry had a few gaps in there, though. Remember, he got stripped for inactivity earlier in his career. So let's see. There's Erislandy Lara'S box rack right there. Okay, so he fought Danny. I should have did this before I started. Oh, yeah, he had one fight. He fought Johan Gonzalez. He was supposed to, they had him in January. I don't know what happened with that on December 6th, remember, this year, but he fought Johan Gonzalez. And that was his first fight since Danny in the entire year. But he did fight this month. I forgot all about that. I remember that now. Which was a unanimous decision for him. Okay. Nothing else scheduled right now for Erislandy. Let's look at his fighting style, though. Fighting style and technique for Lara. Okay. Oh, okay. There's some stuff in there. Okay, Mike says they forced Lara to fight like that, or he would not get no fights. That's why he fights the way he does now, because people don't like the sweet side. So he has to give you more chances. Yeah, that's something, Mike. They taking a whole style out of boxing. And that shit started with that Turkey Alley Sheik nonsense. Yeah, they taking a whole style out of the sport, man. They probably would, Ali probably wouldn't get no fights nowadays, or Sugar Ray Leonard now, or Sweet Pea, you know? They've taken a whole style out of the sport, man. It's crazy. But Lara's fighting style and technique, that's a good point, Mike. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, Cuban's boxing system influences and stress, okay? Now, Lara's boxing technique draws profoundly from the Cuban school's foundational principles, which prioritizes technical finesse, defensive evasion, and calculated counterattacks over aggressive exchanges, right? This approach, honed in Cuba's state-sponsored amateur program, instills fighters with exceptional footwork, rhythm head movement, and the ability to maintain distance through lateral shifts and pivots, allowing Lara to slip punches while setting up precise counter shots. As a southpaw graduate of this system, Lara employs a wide stance that enhances his balance and power generation, enabling him to redirect opponents' momentum into vulnerabilities, okay? Now, key strengths derived from Cuban training manifest in Lara's elite defensive metrics and offensive efficiency. His head movement and upper body feints make him notoriously difficult to land clean shots on. It's evidenced by his career connect rate against him, hovering below league averages in high-level fights, while he counters with a stinging jab and hooks strong from unconventional angles. And there goes to Mike Rim's point. That's part of his game, dodging punches and all of that, and countering. So they're just trying to change the man's style, and it's crazy. That's part of his game, that defense, right? His connect against rate hovers below the league averages, the average in boxing, in high-level fights, okay? And he counters with a stinging jab and hooks, going for unconventional angles. But everybody want to see him in there toe-to-toe slugging it out. That's not his style. Like I said, he's trying to take a whole entire style out of the sport. This precision yields high punch accuracy, often exceeding 40% in title fights, rooted in the school's emphasis on fight IQ, where anticipation and minimal energy expenditure preserve stamina for late round dominance. Remember, he had that fight where he had like a 62% landing a power punches, 62% rate. That's unheard of, right? Now, Lara's ability to control range and dictate pace, turning aggressive foes into pursuers, underscores the Cuban method's casual edge in outlasting and frustrating power punches. That's exactly what it did to Canelo. Exactly. Lara'S, let me read that again. Lara'S' ability to control range and dictate pace, turning aggressive foes into pursuers, underscores the Cuban method's casual edge in outlasting and frustrating power punches. You got to be a hardcore boxing fan to appreciate stuff like that, right? But that's part of this man's game, why he's been so successful in the sport. Not standing there going toe to toe, doing stuff like that, right? Controlling range, dictating pace, and against aggressive foes, making them the pursuer, right? And then outlasting them and frustrating them, right? They just kind of turn everybody into a swarmer. They want one style in boxing, swarmer pressure fight. No more outboxing. None of that. Well, they're trying to do away with the outbox. That's what it seemed like. And these influences have proven Lara'S' adaptability, blending amateur honed evasion with professional adjustments like increased body work, yet retaining the core tenet of risk aversion to maximize longevity. In fights such as his 2014 clash with Canelo, Lara'S' movement frustrated forward pressure. That's exactly what I was just saying. His movement frustrated Canelo's forward pressure, and he landed over half his power shots while countering and absorbing fewer connects than expected, highlighting the school's enduring efficacy against diverse styles. Okay? So yeah, and if he fought like everybody wanted him to, he would not be still fighting at 42 years old. That's because of adhering to their Cuban boxing style's principles, this longevity. Because that's part of the reason they train you like that, for longevity. Now, of course, there's the criticism of his defensive approach, right? Of course, we got the criticism of his defensive approach. Lara'S' defensive-oriented fighting style, emphasizing elusive footwork, precise counterpunching, and distance management, derived from Cuban amateur training, has drawn consistent criticism for prioritizing safety over sustained engagement. Observers have frequently characterized it as a hit-and-run approach that minimizes risk but produces low-volume tactical fights, lacking the aggressive exchanges casual fans often prefer. Okay, in professional boxing, I'm not going to say fans, I'm going to say casual fans, because hardcore fans appreciate this, man. Watching the sweet signs, watching somebody in there controlling range, making the pursuer, making the aggressive fighter pursue him, turning them. Hardcore fans appreciate that kind of stuff. Casual fans want everybody to be a pressure fighter. Okay? And that's what Turkey Ali Sheik is, a casual fan with a lot of money. That describes Turkey Ali Sheik, a casual boxing fan with a lot of money. That's exactly what he is. Okay? Turkey Ali Sheik. When I interview him, I'm going to tell him that. Now, this style's effectiveness in avoiding damage, evidenced by Lara'S' career bumper box averages of under 50 punches thrown per round in several defenses, has been overshadowed by complaints of it being unentertaining and overly conservative. But they say there's more casual fans, so I don't know. Okay. Even Lara'S' trainer, Ronnie Shields, acknowledged the complaints, noting detractors first decried excessive movement and then disengaged when Lara adjusted by planting his feet more, underscoring a no-win perception where defensive mastery is penalized for lacking spectacle. This criticism intensified perceptions of Cuban defectors like Lara inheriting a technically proficient but an aesthetically conservative pedigree. Okay? Almost finished. With some analysts positing it stems from amateur habits favoring points over power, though Lara has countered by vowing stylistic evolution to shed the boring label in later career fights. That's what Mike was talking about. Now, despite these defenses, the approach's causal link to fan disinterest remains evident in Lara'S historically modest pay-per-view draw and arena attendance compared to more aggressive contemporaries at 154 and 160 pounds. And half of them is out of the sport now. Can't even understand what they're saying and everything. While Lara, 42 years old, still got all his faculties going strong. With all those people they talking about, his contemporaries that stand up in there and go toe to toe, they out of the sport. Drinking, eating out of a straw and stuff, right? Not all of them. But championships, rankings, and legacy for Erislandy Lara. Championship rankings, legacy. Okay. All right, yeah. Personal life and post-boxing prospect. I got way. Yeah. There's him in his weight minute, right? Okay. Championship rankings and legacy. Okay, yeah, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. It's 20. Okay. Major titles and defense. And we don't have to go over that again because that's a summary of his titles and all of that. The impact on boxing and Hall of Fame consideration for Lara. Impact on boxing and Hall of Fame consideration. Erislandy Lara'S professional career has exemplified the Cuban boxing tradition's emphasis on technical precision, defensive mobility, and counterpunching efficiency, bringing amateur-style mastery to the pro ranks after his 2008 defection from Cuba. His slick, evasive approach, rooted in national team experience, including gold medals at the 2005 World Championships and 2008 Central American Games, has influenced perceptions of strategic depth in the super welterweight and middleweight division, prompting analysts to discuss the viability of point-oriented tactics against power punchers. In fights like his 2014 split decision loss to Canelo Alvarez, Lara connected on 53% of his punches, while absorbing just 36%, underscoring how Cuban-trained footwork and ring generalship can neutralize aggression and extend careers into the 40s, okay? 53% to 38%. Lara'S resume, holding WBA titles in 2 weight classes with defenses against opponents like Jared Hurd and Gary O'Sullivan, has elevated the junior middleweight division's competitive standard during a period dominated by high-profile figures, okay? By maintaining a 30-win, 3-loss, 3-draw record, 18 knockouts, including quality victories over Vanes Martirajan and Devin Rodriguez, Lara has demonstrated durability and adaptability, moving from super welterweight to middleweight in 2021 without decisive defeats. And his first 4 fights at middleweight, I think all of his fights at middleweight were stopped. No, the last one wasn't. His first 4 were stoppages. The one he had last month was a UD. This longevity at championship level, rare for southpaws with his defensive focus, has contributed to broader appreciation for skilled technicians over entertainers, though his style has drawn criticism for occasional conservatism that limits mainstream appeal. And then we had those controversies and disputed outcomes against Canelo and Paul Williams, remember? Those 2 fights. Yes, I think that's him and Paul, where he got cheated right there. Yep. Yeah, he attempted to defect twice. First efforts failing during the 2007 international competition in Brazil, where Cuban authorities, in coordination with Brazilian officials, repatriated the athletes involved, effectively ending Lara'S amateur career on the island. Yet he kicked him off the team. They wouldn't let him compete anymore. Let's look at his personal life. Okay. He had those two key controversies against Paul Williams and Canelo. That was bad. I thought he won both of those fights. And finally, his personal life. There's him and his wife. You look at his personal life to close it down for the week. They go with 21 likes again, but by the time I get off, it'll be 15. I don't know what's going on with that. But personal life and post-boxing prospects for Lara. Okay. Personal life, post-boxing prospects. Okay. U.S. citizenship and family. Lara and his wife, Judy Lara, became naturalized United States citizens on February 16, 2017, after fulfilling residency requirements and reciting the Oath of Allegiance in Houston, Texas. Now, Lara, who had defected from Cuba in 2008, described the event as fulfilling his American dream, reflecting on the hardships overcome since leaving his homeland. He was from one of the worst areas in Cuba. Okay. Now, the couple currently resides in Missouri City, Texas, a suburb of Houston, with their 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. Now, his wife, Judy Lara, accompanied her husband through the citizenship process, having supported him since his arrival in the United States following defection. Lara has expressed that his immediate family in the United States provides motivation amid ongoing separation from relatives still in Cuba, including sons he left behind. The family maintains a low public profile, focusing on privacy away from media attention. Now, some business ventures and retirement considerations. Does have some business ventures lined up. Business ventures and retirement considerations for Lara. It's the only picture I can find of him in a suit. Business ventures. Retirement consideration for Erislandy Lara. Now, Lara established Erislandy Lara Incorporated in Florida on April 19, 2012 as an active domestic profit corporation, primarily to manage aspects of its professional boxing endeavors, including potential endorsements and career-related operations. He also formed Erislandy Lara Promotions Incorporation on June 29, 2011, which focused on promotional activities, but became inactive by 2016. Now, public records indicate limited diversification in the non-boxing enterprises, with no verified reports of investments in sectors such as real estate or retail as of 2025. His business activities appear centered on sustaining his athletic pursuit amid the financial demands of elite-level competition. Okay. Currently, at age 42, Lara has voiced no immediate retirement plan. Okay. As of January 2nd, 2026, at age 42, he has voiced no immediate retirement plan. Okay. I think he turns 43 in April. Emphasizing sustained competitiveness following his September 2024 stoppage win over Danny Garcia, which preserved his WBA middleweight title. And he had a fight last month too, right? And his coach confirmed that the veteran champion remains committed to further fights, right? Despite entering his mid-40s, prioritizing legacy over age-related exit strategy. Lara's approach reflects a pattern among durable Cuban defectors, balancing physical longevity with opportunistic matchmaking to maximize earnings before potential post-career transitions, So specific contingencies like coaching or broadcasting remain unarticulated in available state. There you have it, the life and career of Erislandy Lara, the American dream. All right, Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. Salute, Bruce Gas. We just finished up Erislandy Lara. It's the first Friday, so we did an active boxing today. Yeah, Lara, he defected from Cuba in 2008. Attempted twice, remember. He attempted in 2007. They was at the Pan Am Games in Rio de Janeiro. Now, the Olympics was in Rio de Janeiro in 2016, but the Pan Am Games before the 2008 Olympics was in 2007 in Rio de Janeiro. And him and Guillermo Rigondeaux attempted to defect, but they got caught. And the Brazilian authorities deported him under pressure from the Cuban authorities. The Brazilian authorities deported him back to Cuba, and guess what? Cuba kicked him out of the amateur system, and he couldn't box anymore. So he didn't have any choice but to get out of there, right? And he got defected again in 2008 through Mexico. He ended up in Germany. Then he ended up in Miami, Florida. But he started his pro career when he was still in Germany in 2008. And then in 2009, he came to Miami and signed with Oscar. I don't know who he's with now for us promoting. Still Oscar. But he's the rest is history. His career took off and, became an American citizen. And I just did it like 2017 or something with his wife. I can't remember. I just did it 5 minutes ago. Yeah, him and his wife became citizens together. 2017. Yeah, I got a good memory. 2017. I just read it. February 16, 2017, him and his wife in Texas. They live outside Houston, Texas. And yeah, Lara. Still active. He'd be 43 and I think it's April. Let me see. Lara be 43. April 10th. A few months away is January. January, February, March, April, about 4 months. Beginning of the month. But, like I just said, his coach said he had no kind of retirement is not in the future. Not even in the back of his mind yet. So he's intent on, I think he's still a WBA at 154, right? Still intent on defending his title. He just had a defense last month on the 6th. They was trying to get him in a unification with Janibek, but that didn't happen. He fought this other guy and he won. Yeah. So Lara, Erislandy. All right, and that's the week. I appreciate everybody. We're off to a new year of boxing history. And we're gonna do it just like we did last year. Hopefully I get 3 subscribers this year and make it to 1,000 by December 31st, 2026. That's just one every 4 months. Surely I can get one every 4 months. Only need 3, right? Somebody go in there and get your wife's or your daughter's phone or something, son's phone. Hit that subscribe button. Right now, do it now. We can be at 1,000 in the next 5 minutes. Okay, but yeah, just do boxing coming up in these weeks. Yeah, it was pretty good, Lara. It was long. I had to, do some jumping too. But yeah, Erislandy Lara. The Cuban Hawk. I mean, that's Rigondeaux, right? I think. Lara is the American dream. Now look at that, 22 likes. By the time I get off, it'll be 15. I don't understand how that always happens like that. But it says 22 now. I was checking. I'll just do before I go. But I appreciate everybody. 1,000,000% for stopping through today. Oh, come on. Everybody have a great weekend. I had an idea what I was going to do Monday, but I forgot it. It'll come back to me like 1 minute after 4. Okay. Just do boxing. Let's see. I don't feel something there. But just do boxing is due to come on at 4 p.m. in a couple minutes. Okay. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. Mike Mazik, the Drunk Irishman, Kid Manila, Mike Rim, Thomas Hill, Tim Layton, BVO from Cleveland, Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. What's up, RP? And Miss Cass. Okay. Hope you enjoyed Erislandy Lara today. Look at him. There he is. And styling and profiling. Woman on every side of him. But I appreciate everybody. We're going to be back Monday with some more boxing history. Starting on a new week. And everybody have a great weekend. This is Cass Sports, the Box Story. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Storian bringing you all of that boxing history. Appreciate y'all 1,000,000%. Oh boy. I don't know what's going on. There we go. The studio audience then left. Do this again. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story bringing you all of that boxing history. Appreciate y'all 1,000,000%.